Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piroworski, coming to you live from the East Coast. That makes me the host with the most from the coast with the most here on the Rundown. 2A views, conservative news, holiday season. Craig, it's a Tuesday though, isn't it?
It is a Tuesday, which means it would be Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a treat.
That's right, folks. It is Taco Tuesday. Mike, tell me what you got. What you got on the slate today for Taco Tuesday?
It's the holiday season still, Craig. So I had to call the taco truck. I like this taco truck so much that I got their phone number. And I have to call them and see if they're working and where they are during the day, and then go track them down to get my favorite tacos in town. So
Nice. Well, today we actually have some leftover pulled pork. So today we're doing pulled pork. We're going to be doing for dinner pulled pork tacos with my son-in-law is going to be making his own flour tortillas. So it's going to be all fresh, all homemade tacos today.
very nice, very nice. I don't think we talked about it during the Christmas show yesterday. Did you make any food? Did you do any food from scratch yesterday, or when you did Christmas?
As a matter of fact, we did tri-tip. So we did tri-tip and then smoked chicken wings and mac and cheese from scratch.
Very nice, very nice. I made a couple of dishes, but a lot of them were just put together. The one thing I didn't make on its own was the gnocchi and vodka sauce. Made them both from scratch. So.
Ooh, very nice, very nice. Yeah, we tend to eat rather well. I'm an okay cook, and I'm the worst cook in the house. I've got between my son-in-law, my daughter, and my wife. They are all really phenomenal cooks. So, needless to say, I don't starve, especially during holidays.
I'd say I'm a slightly above average cook, and I'm the only one in the house that cooks. So,
oh, well, there you go. See, what I do cook, I cook well. But I don't have a lot of diversity because, in terms of the stuff I really like, why meddle? If someone else makes it better, I go get it from there. And if I know how to make it myself, then why learn other stuff if I know how to cook what I like?
Yeah, exactly. It's true. It's just, at least you got your family members do other things well. Like my daughter's good at Uber Eats. She's good at that. And and my wife's good at burning water. So
that's a skill set. Not everybody can do that.
No, you don't. That's not something you're born with. You gotta learn that. Yeah.
No, it usually requires some sort of a mixture, a flammable liquid to burn water.
Yeah, that's training right there. Years and years of training.
Yeah. Oh, well, see, now for me it was the exact opposite. My wife did not know how to cook when we got married, and so as she learned to cook, she learned how to cook like I like. I don't know if anyone else likes my wife's cooking, although people do tend to like it. I just know, and all I really care about is the fact that I like my wife's cooking. So that for me, that's all that really matters.
And that's what matters 80% of the day. So
80% of the day, that is what matters.
Yeah,
I was talking about
the other 20%. The kids got to like it, and if they don't like it, they can go without.
Pretty much. I mean, that was kind of how it was. Although my wife also did kind of cook stuff that they like too, but that was secondary to me. What was more important?
Exactly right. That's the 80-20 split. That's what I'm talking about.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what matters. Let's talk about our sponsors because they really matter.
Yes, let's talk about Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. If you got yourself an AR in the last 5 years, probably got one of their barrels, don't even know it. Now you can buy direct from them for your next build or to rebarrel your current AR platform. That's hitmanindustries.net. If you want to get involved with what's going on in California, you have the California Republican Assembly. Get involved in California's future today. Say it 3 or 4 times there. That's California Republican Assembly. If you want some awesome field gear, some tactical gear, some cold weather gear, some wet weather gear, some hiking gear, whatever you want, they've got it at uscombatgear.com. That's uscombatgear.com. And of course, you want some of the best tactical holsters around, no matter what your gun is. Kydex, inside the waistband, handmade, custom made, veteran owned and operated. Go to Hog Holsters, HAWG holsters.com. That's hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word.
Folks, as we're coming here near the end of this and near the end of this year and the end of the second season of The Rundown, I just want to make sure to note for our sponsors, and just so that you guys understand this, these are not just companies who are looking to reach out and trying to get you to buy stuff for them. These are advocates of liberty, of the fundamental right to keep and bear arms. That's why they support us, and trust me, we're not the only folks that they support who work to get the word out. So support them as they support your liberty and your right to keep and bear arms. It's real easy. All you got to do is follow the link to their websites in the description to this program. Check them out. I promise you'll like what you see. And when you do, make sure you kick them down some cash, either buy their product, become a member, whatever it is, support them, and make sure you tell them that it was the guys over at The Rundown that sent you.
That's it. They're all about the truth, justice, and the American way.
Exactly. By the way, it's funny. I had someone get on me. My brother, in fact, who's a liberal, was like, well, he was talking about how Superman was, how the truth of the the whole American way thing was not the original what Superman was about. I'm like, no, that's exactly what he was about. That was his saying.
That's the exact that's how he started. That's exactly
right.
It's only been wokeified in the last 10 years or so that Hollywood's taken that out.
Right. Superman, yes, he does protect the earth, but first and foremost, he is about the American way.
That's it.
Just saying.
Exactly right.
Anyway,
he's from Iowa.
Also, and we'll be talking a little bit more about the high tech, the tech censorship a little bit later in the program. But folks, that they're going out of their way to make sure that programs like this don't catch fire, that people don't get to hear from us. So the only way in which they're going to hear about us is from you, by you sharing this program, right? Do us a favor. Let your friends know. Let your friends know that you are watching and or listening to The Rundown. Let them know they can connect with us on any of these social media platforms. They can watch the program. They can listen to the program anywhere you get your podcasts, anywhere you watch your video podcasts. But however you choose to partake and encourage your friends to do the same.
Partake responsibly, though.
Definitely partake responsibly. All right, let's go ahead and let's get into today's first news topic. Didn't report on this yesterday, but I wanted to check it out a little bit more before we wound up talking about it. And that has to do with on Christmas Eve, there was, let's just say the vice president, who is supposed to be the border czar, the person who's responsible for identifying the causes of illegal immigration and working to address that issue. Right, in order to make sure that migrants, that people are not coming into our country illegally, find out what's causing them to come here and to end it. Well, needless to say, Vice President Harris has done absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, I think she was near the border, but never actually went to the border to actually see what was going on there at the border. The place where even Democrats are saying, hey, you need to come check this out and come see what's going on. Well, the vice president got a Christmas gift on Christmas Eve, and a busload of immigrants, of illegal immigrants, people who had entered the country illegally, were dropped off at her doorstep, at her home there in Washington, D.C. And needless to say, the left was really livid about it. They were like, I cannot believe that this is happening. And Mike, the one thing that I will say, the only thing that I will give them is, it was, I think it was something like 15 degrees it was like something like 15 degrees out there that day. PR wise, optically, it was a bad look. They probably should have had the bus drop them off at a shelter or something else there in D.C. But to have them dropped off at the vice president's house, just PR-wise, with the way the weather was kind of a bad PR look.
Craig, I have to tell you that I know zero about this story, because anytime somebody sends me a message like Vice President Harris gets surprise Christmas gift, I don't open that file. I don't want to see that. I don't want to. There's all kinds of possibilities, and I don't want to take a look at that.
It only counts. Well, you only have to be worried if Willie Brown sent it to her.
You know my circle of friends. I need to be careful with anything.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I did not open it. Listen, though, Craig, I'm all right with even it being 15 degrees outside. They send them to her house. If they send them to the shelter, then it's a non-issue. Nobody knows that they're there. Nobody knows that you've got these immigrants. The political statement here is that it's nice and warm and cozy in the vice president's house. If she's all for this immigration and letting anybody in, well, then she should unlock her door as well as she wants to unlock the southern door on our border and let them into her home.
Well, there you go. Now, I think once again, that is a valid PR point. I just think where it falls flat is these are people, and once again, it was a bad PR look. I just think that it's one of those things where it probably was that cold or colder in Texas this past week. So wherever they would have wound up, they would have wound up in a place where there was very, very cold weather. And if you look in a number of places in Texas, there are people. Once again, people who entered this country illegally, because the shelters are overrun, there are people sleeping on the streets there in Texas in weather that is as cold, if not colder, than Washington, D.C. I just think it creates an opportunity to, once again, PR-wise, to undermine the message that he was sending.
Do we know who sent the bus? What's the
Well, that's the other thing, is that there are conflicting reports as to whether or not this was part of his direct effort, or whether or not it was just a bus that came from Texas. I think Abbott has acknowledged. I heard, and I have not read a report where he specifically has acknowledged it, but they have claimed that he has acknowledged that he was involved in it. I probably need to do a little bit more research before I declare that is in fact the case. Because you're right, that could very easily be maybe someone from El Paso, the Democrat mayor there, wound up sending them there. Although from El Paso, I don't know that they're going to target directly the vice president. They would probably just send them to other places. I think the fact that it was in fact the vice president's home leads one to believe that it was someone who. On the right, who was advocating a different policy, shall we say, a policy opposite that of the vice president. But I also say this: dropping the problem off at her doorstep is very appropriate, seeing as how she's the one that was tasked with addressing it.
Yep, absolutely. That's why I think this was. I know you're talking about it being a bad PR move. I think this was a good PR move. This, like I said, it's cold out. Let's see how fast they can deal with it, and that's how much they actually care for these people. You think it's warm at a homeless shelter? I bet you it's plenty warm inside that big residence of hers.
Well, I think so. Here's the thing: what we're looking at is, when we're talking about PR, is understanding there are two different stories being told in what's going on in America out there. Quite frankly, there just are. And amongst people who already agree with Governor Abbott, this was a good PR move. Amongst people who disagree with Governor Abbott, this is a bad PR move. And no matter what, or the timing or anything, that wasn't going to change. It's the people who are just learning about it, not really sure about it, haven't really taken a firm position on it. amongst them, it could cut bad. It could cut good or bad. My opinion, I think it cuts more bad than good, only because the mainstream media is going to play it up more, and it might have a little teeth to it.
Sure. And that's, listen, we got plenty of, 1-star folks out there that believe everything the media said and can't see the depth of what this meeting is.
Well-meaning 1-star folks, but 1-star folks nonetheless.
Yes.
All right, moving right along. More released from the Twitter files. And the reason why this story is not leading is because, quite frankly, number one, what we're learning from the Twitter files is stuff that we already knew. And in this particular case, we're talking about COVID-19. And we already know that the government was involved in suppressing valid information, from medical experts, by the way, about COVID-19. And what the Twitter files do is they confirm this information. They confirm that not only were they they were looking at experts, and even if their tweet did not conflict with other medical information that was readily available by credible sources, or the vaccine/COVID-19 information policies of other countries, if it contradicted or questioned anything with the CDC that the CDC was putting out, that the Biden administration was putting out, well, they were censored, and in some cases lost their wound up losing their entire Twitter platform. There was one expert that got 5 strikes. They went back and they looked, and of the 5 strikes, only 1 was valid, and not because he wasn't providing expert information and advice backed up by data, but it was because it was inconsistent with what the Biden administration was putting out in terms of what their message was on COVID and on vaccines.
Yeah, Craig, I think we said it yesterday. What's the difference between the truth and a conspiracy theory about 3 to 6 months? Well, this one's taken a year, 2 years for it to come out, and as many of us had said, right? Be cautious, do your own research, do a multi source research, check both sides, and it continues to come out. And now here's proof that the government was biased in what they were saying, biased in their opinions. They were steering you one way. They were just outright manipulating information to get you what they wanted you to have, and not what the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth was.
Well, and once again, this is just Twitter. The only reason we know this for sure is because a lot of this data and information was put out there. Now, we actually knew a lot of this before, because there was, I think it was Alex Berenson, who was writing about COVID-19 and was writing about vaccine efficacy, and he wound up losing a lawsuit. I mean, he wound up losing his account after they told him, Twitter officials told him, "Oh no, you're good. So because they told him he was good, that they were okay with what he was doing, and then they shut down his account, he was able to sue for breach of contract, because he tried to verify that what they were saying, that what he was posting was okay. And with that, he got access to, through subpoena power, his suit was able to go forward, and he got access to emails and text messages and communications back and forth, citing this exact same thing relating to COVID-19. And once again, now we know a lot of this stuff is valid, and we know it's happening in other places, because we lost our YouTube channel. The rundown had a specific YouTube channel. I'm not going to say all the places. If you're watching us, the places on YouTube where you can watch us. I'm not going to say it because I don't want them to shut down another one of our channels. But we are on YouTube. But the point that I'm making here is that the stuff that we now know was true. And we're one of many people who lost YouTube channels behind it.
It's about, listen, the administration and the media teaming up together to suppress the ideas that they don't want you to have. Listen, you have valid information coming from Alex Barberenson, right? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
How do you say his name? Barberenson, right? And then you have Dr. Fauci on the other side. Which one do you think the media and the administration propped up, and which one do you think the media suppressed and the administration suppressed? I think 99 out of 99 people are going to pick Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
That's the name they know. They don't know the other name at all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's, what really frustrates me and what really bothers me about it is that, that's not science. Science is you're supposed to be able to challenge in the narrative, and you compare data and information, and that's how you arrive at the truth. But they don't want science. What they want is they want propaganda, and they're pushing propaganda. And like I said, it's not for naught. There's a reason why. One, because, they were trying to push for the pharmaceutical companies because, once again, this is my theory, but I think it's bearing out, is that was the only way that they could, especially when it came to things like other therapeutics in terms of off-label prescribing of therapeutics, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and others. The reason why they did not want them to be effective or did not want people to know if they were effective was largely because they wanted to fast track the vaccine, and they were not going to be able to do that if they have an alternative. Now, instead, what they could have done was just changed the law if they wanted to have the vaccines go through expediently. What they could have done is, rather than lying about the efficacy of the vaccines, just to be honest and say, hey, for some people, especially high-risk people, it's probably better to get it than not get it. But consult your physician. Instead, they're like, oh no, you take it and you'll never get sick again. And then you'll be able to go out in public and do whatever the heck you want. And they just lied, is what we now know.
Yeah. Well, listen, the government would have you believe that trust the science is the same thing as take my word for it. When it's complete opposite,
Well, you know what? I think that right there, that quote, it sums up all of the COVID disinformation from the government. That line right there. They want you to believe that trust the science, or that they want you to believe that take my word for it is the same as trust the science.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep. When trust the science would imply that you should go out and look for scientific reasons, whether you believe this or not. Continue to do more research. Trust the science does not mean squad halt. We're stopping right here. It does not.
No.
It means continue to search for answers and solutions.
Exactly. And make decisions based on the best evidence you have available.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Talking about trusting the science. Those of us who have studied gun rights, the ability, the allowance of individuals to be able to defend themselves, to enact their fundamental human right to defend themselves, those of us who study this stuff know that when people are allowed to be able to defend themselves unfettered by government intrusion, that people tend to generally be safer. We know that 98% of all mass shootings occur in gun-free zones. We know that in areas where people are allowed to defend themselves and allowed to keep and bear arms, we know that they generally tend to have lower crime. This is in general, but this is all information that we have. We know that more than 2.5 million times firearms have been used in self-defense. We already know this. Now, Brazil, in case of you didn't know, was the murder capital of the world, right? More people per capita were being killed and shot in Brazil than anywhere else in the country. Now, this was a place that at the time had the strictest gun control. I mean, almost the strictest gun control in the world. I mean, everybody, every legal resident, citizen, visitor was not allowed to own or possess a firearm. Only the criminals were allowed to do so, and as such, the criminals victimized the law-abiding, victimized the citizens, the people who were seeking to live the peaceable residents / citizens. Well, there's a new study out, and this study is reported over there bearing arms by Mr. Tom Knighton, our good friend, and what he notes was that in this study, over the last several years, they have, under the last president, a lot of the restrictions that they have on the right to keep and bear arms there have been lifted. Now, it's nowhere near what we have right here in the United States, but yet and still it's been lifted. And Mike, there has been a 27% decrease from 2017 until now, a 27% decrease in the murder rate there in Brazil.
It's amazing, Craig, right? How when you afford people the opportunity to legally defend themselves, that as a whole they become less victims, less part of the victim statistics. We saw the same thing in Chicago. What was it, 6-7 years ago, after Chicago was told that they could not ban FFLs from the city, that people had to be allowed to get concealed permits. Now the murder rate has stayed consistent in Chicago, Craig, but the statistics on who the victims are have gone down. It's no longer the innocent, people going shopping or going, walking down the street. It's now criminal on criminal there when you do an analysis of the statistics. So the number of innocent people killed in Chicago has gone down dramatically, much the same way as you're seeing it in Brazil. And I would predict in Brazil you're going to see much more of the criminal on criminal violence, because like Chicago, Brazil has not yet taken to going after the criminals and treating the criminals as such, as opposed to decriminalizing criminal behavior.
Well, hey, there you go, exactly. And now, mind you, that like as is noted in Mr. Knighton's story, the advocates on the other side, or gun control advocates, are going to try and say, well, no matter what you look at, when private gun ownership goes up, that then the killings are going to go up. And there is absolutely no data that ties the two. And the other thing, though, that it does is that it ignores whether or not, as Mike just stated, all of that research ignores how criminals are treated when they commit crimes. In other words, like in California, we've seen an increase in violent crime, even though we've seen an increase in gun control. But what they ignore in the entire thing, and what they don't understand, is that they're letting more criminals out. As California has decriminalized crime, we're seeing more criminals out on the streets, which sees all crime go up, including violent crime.
Yeah, remember, it was within the past year in Chicago, where they had two gangs, just like I said. Now you have criminals versus criminals. You had two gangs shooting at each other. You had multiple people shot. I think one was even killed, if I recall correctly. And they chose not to file charges because they said it was all cases of self-defense.
Well, it was mutual combatants, right?
Yeah, mutual combatants led to everybody being on self-defense. Well, guess what? Somebody's got to show up first and take the aggressive action. Somebody's got to lay the first bullet down. And I'm not saying the person who lays the first bullet down is the criminal. Maybe the guy who points the gun, and then the other guy defends himself by shooting at the guy that pointed the gun. So that it could go either way. It's not I called 911 first, I win. But it's definitely a case of there was a crime being committed, yet they chose not to charge anyone with it.
Well, and the criminal, the mutual combatant law there in Illinois was specifically written. It was largely about the idea of if two guys get in a fight, right? Yeah. So if two guys get into a fight and they start fighting each other, and it was clear that both of them chose to engage in this battle, in this fight, then you get your butt kicked, you get your butt kicked. I mean, that was kind of the thing. But when someone chooses to draw a firearm, that's a whole different story. You're not in this fight to fight. You're now in this fight to do serious bodily harm or kill someone. And and not only that, there are other people potentially affected with every stray bullet that doesn't hit its intended target.
Exactly right. The Supreme Court of Illinois defines mutual combat as a fight or struggle which both parties enter willingly, or where two persons, upon a sudden quarrel and in hot blood, mutually fight upon equal terms, and where death results from the combat. So they're using this again, Craig, which was created for the fist fight, which was created for the how dare you sleep with my wife kind of thing. That's what this was designed for.
Right.
This was not designed for two rival gangs that decide they're going to go after each other and they get a pass because it's mutual combat.
Right. But they're using it as a way because Mike, and I'm just going to be say it. If these were two white people shooting at each other in the middle of the street, it wouldn't have went down like that. That they would have been sent to jail. If it was a white person shooting at a black person, it would have been a hate crime.
You're right.
Because that's the way the left rolls. Not saying, just saying.
Sure.
Now, this one here, and every year they come out with this number of minors, and the whole goal behind this is they talk about the children, right? We have to take away your right to keep and bear arms so that we can protect the children. And so what they do is they every year come out with these numbers of how many children have been, and I want you to see the exact thing they talk about, have been killed, hurt by gunfire in 2022. Now, Mike, and they lead with the 19 students that were slain in Uvalde. Now, Mike, I'm going to pan down here a little bit because when you actually see the numbers that they're talking about here. So first of all, let's hit on this first part of the numbers, right? With 5 days left in the year, this is once again from the Gun Violence Archive, run by an anti-gun group that wants the rest of us to become victims, right? So they're talking about 17 years old or younger. So we're talking about teenagers, right? They're talking about teenagers. They're talking about 6,023 were either shot or were injured by gunfire, right? Let's move down a little bit more. It says 306 of all of those, once again, hurt or killed, were 11 years old or younger, right? Oh, I'm sorry. This says that were killed by gunfire. So 11 years or younger. And then we come down here and another 1,323 children ages 12 to 17, teenagers, died in shooting. So first of all, less than 25% of all of those overall numbers were actual deaths, right? About 25% were actual deaths relating to firearms. And the overwhelming percentage of those deaths, Mike, they won't tell you, gang and drug related. Overwhelming. Almost none of them. The reason why they have to mention the mass shooting is because almost none of them are people who sought out or were involved in mass shootings. Almost all of those are gang or drug related.
Criminal versus criminal crime. Now, Craig, we're not writing it off. We're not saying that we can ignore those numbers. Right. But there is no innocent victim to that death. The family members, obviously, the community, obviously, in a whole, the country in a whole, yes. But these are they would have you believe that all 6,000 of these are random killings that somebody used an illegal firearm to come shoot an innocent person. That's the way they portray this.
Well, and you notice, Mike, no mention of ghost guns because ghost guns don't fit there were no ghost guns involved. Overall, Mike, what gets me about all of this is all propaganda. And it's meant to, and by the way, this is a very, very small number of the overall deaths of people who in general die from firearms. And you notice they don't compare this to the number of innocent victims of crime who are shot by people. They don't do that. They don't parse out any of these folks who were perhaps in the commission of a crime when they were perhaps either shot by law enforcement or shot by a mutual combatant. None of that information is made available here. And like you said, I'm not saying that this is not a bad thing. We need to do whatever we can to keep young people from being involved in this sort of violence and becoming subject to this sort of violence. But understand that it is not a gun issue. Right? This is a people issue. This is what are we doing? How are we raising our children? What values are we instilling in our children to value life, to value law and order? The very fact that the left wants to go out of their way to make law and order appear to be an evil thing, that that they want to deny who exactly are the victimizers of our children. They want to blame the gun. They want to blame the government. They want to blame the white man. They want to blame Republicans. When in reality, it is the things that we are instilling in our children that is causing them to victimize, to shoot and kill each other. That's what we need to be working to change.
Absolutely, Craig. Listen, like you said, this is not a gun issue. This is a people person. The same way as, deaths on the roadway are not a car issue. They're a people person. Whether it's a fast car you couldn't control, it was a person that couldn't control it. Whether it was you got drunk and plowed into it, somebody, it's not the car's fault. It's the person's fault. And it's that way everywhere you go. It's the same analogy. Spoons don't make people fat, Craig. Right? It's the people that do this. And it's frustrating because firearms is the only thing we do that with, right? If somebody hits somebody over the head with a bat, that guy's a criminal. If somebody stabs somebody with a knife, that guy's a criminal. If somebody shoots somebody with a gun, it's the gun's fault.
Nope, not the people. They're never the people. Nope. It's never the people's fault.
Nope, it's the gun's fault at that point.
All right, moving on to our parting shots, brought to you by Hog Hosters. That's hoghosters.com, helping Americans wear guns. Folks, go get your holster today. Follow the link in the description of this program to hoghosters.com, and make sure you use the discount code, The Rundown, all caps, all one word. Save you some money today on a Hog Hoster. All right. In the theme, since it is still the season, we had a number of seasonal memes that we wanted to make sure to share with you today. The first one has to do with, the success of the Biden agenda, right? And, if you're looking to celebrate and you want a theme for your holidays, I cannot think of anything more appropriate for Democrats to support than Build Back Better theme. And this is a tree in honor of Build Back. Have yourself a Build Back Better Christmas. And for those of you who are just listening to the program, it is a small twig held up by a what are those? A clip?
Clothespin.
A clothespin. There you go. God, it's been so long since I've used one. Held up by a clothespin with a itty bitty teeny ornament on it. And it says, have yourself a Build Back Better Christmas.
The best thing about that one, Craig, is that you don't know what a clothespin is, which implies to me that you make somebody else do your laundry.
No, I just don't. I just have a dryer is what it is. I don't hang my clothes on a line, so I don't need a clothespin.
And hence the electricity problem there and the energy problem in California. There you go.
Well, there you go. No, our problem is that we rely on wind for our power, and not gas and coal.
If you put clothes out on the line in the wind, they dry quicker.
Yeah, no. Good try, though. Anyway, moving right along. The next one, a message from our, I don't want to call him our commander-in-chief, from our president and Jill Biden. It's a Christmas card. Well, I'll let you describe this one, Mike.
It's a picture of the president and Dr. Biden, and it says, treason's greetings. Craig, the only thing on there missing is like from FJB, or something.
From FJB. From Brandon. There you go.
That's it. From.
All right. And our last one here is not politically related, but is probably the reason why we're still doing kind of the season stuff, because we had to make sure to post this one. It's a picture of Snoop Dogg. He's got his big fur coat, his ugly Christmas sweater on, and a Santa hat with his shades. And he's got a book open like he's reading a Christmas story. And the meme reads, I was waiting for 365 days to post this. And at the bottom, it's reading where he was reading, 'twas the nizzle before Chris Mizzle, all through all the hizzle.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
That is the sole reason why, quite frankly, we were waiting to publish this. We had to make sure to include that. So we had to keep on with our season's greetings type stuff.
Snoop D-O-double-G right there. Yeah, I thought we were gonna go with another one, a little more biblical in reference, but we can wait. We could do that one another day. So
you want to throw that one in?
Oh, I mean, you said you liked it so much. Let's go ahead and see it.
I do like it very, very much, and I will just say this, Mike, to those of you who watch it, I don't know any other way to put it. It is beyond hilarious. I will just throw that out there. Don't think less of us because we shared this with you.
Oh, it's funny in a respectful way. Once you see it, you're gonna be like, okay, all right, I get that. All right, okay, that's all right.
All right, here we go.
I can see this. Yeah.
I've been teaching the disciples all week. It's nice to actually take a break and have a little fun. Mm-hmm. Cannonball!
Oh my! Just so you know, Mike sent that to me, and when I saw it this morning, I spit out. I almost spit out my coffee. That's how much I laughed when I saw that. You want to tell? Oh, yeah. Tell the folks who are actually just listening to the program what they missed.
So there's Jesus, right? Not. I know a lot of you in California. Not Jesus. It's Jesus. He walks up to the pool and he's wearing Jesus gown and he's got his little sash on and wearing his sandals and it looks like he's got a Roman centurion friend floating in the pool in like a pool floaty, but that's a different story, I guess. And Jesus says it's hot. He's been out there all day, preaching, and he's gonna take a little dip in the pool. So he kicks his sandals off and he jumps and he yells cannonball in the air and he comes down and lands flat like he's on concrete because guess what? The Lord walks on water. He can't penetrate the water. So, yeah.
Oh, Mike, for playing that one, I'm going to be standing before the white throne of judgment, and the Lord is going to be looking at it and be like, really?
Right, yeah. But
you want to explain this?
He's going to go, all right, okay, go ahead. That's fair.
Oh me, oh my. Okay, Mike. Well, before we head off today, let's go ahead and give that after show shout out to our sponsors.
Here we go. Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. Rifle and pistol caliber barrels available in rifle and pistol length. Check them out, hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly. Be part of California's future today. Some awesome field gear, tactical gear, wet weather gear, cold weather gear like you're going through right now. Go to uscombatgear.com.
Folks, remember, these are our sponsors. They bring us to you so that we can bring you to them. Visit them by following the links in the description to this program. Make sure you tell them that the guys over at the Rundown sent you. And that is another one in the books. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow on Hump Day. So y'all have fun until then.